recorded.
Hello, 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 hello. Okay. Hello. Hi. Okay. This is conference 15 of Phase B, the ray of creation. And one of the questions that all of us at some point in our lives have asked ourselves is, what is the creation? What is the origin of the creation in the universe? What is the galaxy, the stars? And this is the subject today. So our goal today in this conference is to understand the creation of the universe, how it has an order, and this order is organized first by the law of three, or law of Triamasicano, which is the one that creates, and then with this force is the union of two forces, the negative and the positive, the active and the passive, and they unite to create a third force. And this third force, it is the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Each universe of the infinite space has its own central sun. So we began by well, like I was saying, everything has an order. It's three laws, and then it's organized by the law of seven, which is Epta para Parchignok, which is the law of the seven. We can see this in the 7 days of the week. We can see this in the basic seven dimensions, the seven bodies, the seven rays, the seven virtues, the seven cosmos, the seven rays of creation from all the sparks come from. So all of us come from one of these seven rays. Okay, so in the infinite, the sun, this is the central sun, uh, it constitutes the first order, which is the protocosms and the solar absolute. And this is the first order. And in the very first one, it is formed by multiple spiritual suns and is transcendental and divine. So we cannot perceive it with the physical eyes, or a scientist or astronomer or an astrologer could ever capture this through any telescope or modern device in this three-dimensional world, because they are of a superior divinity, and they're splendid, and they much has been said about the sacred absolute sun, but it is obvious that the entire solar system is ruled by one of the spiritual suns. Each solar system has its spiritual sun, and it is this constitutes the sum of them all. So they really are extraordinary spiritual suns. They're sparkling with infinite splendor in space. So there are radiant spheres that astronomers could never perceive through their telescope or any kind of device. So this means that our set of worlds has its own sacred absolute sun, like I was saying, so in which we live. So we move and have our being, like any other solar system, cannot be changed, and it cannot be changed. So for this, we would need a proper level to be able to perceive this reality. We are always going to be governed by this type of sense in which we move, because we have our being, and where we have our being, I'm sorry, and this sun is what gives order to every system of, and this is of a divine nature. So the central spiritual sun, we only find happiness in here. This is the eternal God. This is one law that is governed by the only law that exists, which is love. And here it is a perfect unity that we cannot recognize because of our because we are far away from this first order. We are the farthest we are from this sacred absolute sun, the more we are submerged in ourselves in inferior realities and at lower and lower levels that are more conditioned and more mechanical. And as we um, farther ourselves away from this absolute sun, from the one law, then we become sinking in more and more loss. Then we become um, also submerging ourselves in pain and entering in more mechanical laws that are heavier, denser, and where we can see pain, and they're more complex, and they're we can't see reality because we are losing consciousness more and more. So this is the first one. It is ruled by the musical note do, superior do. And here we see how this reality is so elevated and that it's even the note do is superior than the basic musical scale. Okay, so now we move to the one law. And we move on to the my slides. I have the problems with myself. Okay, so we move on to the second one. We move farther and farther away from the sacred absolute sun. Yes, for caused by raise the higher do, and the central sun governed by one law. The second order is the iocosms, and the second order. Here we see that as we move farther and farther, we see that in the iocosms, it is any universe of endless space, which is made up of millions of galaxies, suns, and planets traveling through the infinite space. This is called Logoic world. So this order is controlled by three forces, primary three forces that regulate and govern this whole creation. This creation is formed by these three laws that give origin to everything that was created. Which is the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. And these three forces give order to everything that's created, and it vibrates with the note C. Okay. The note C, and we move on now to the. Okay, this is okay. I don't know why it's doing this. It wastes your life to do this. Okay. Okay. So we have the third order, which is the macrocosms. The macrocosms, it is any galaxy of no, this is what I was saying. I'm sorry. Okay, so a macrocosms, it is okay, let's see, something stuck in here. Okay. Okay, so we see that we find the galaxies. They are an endless space. They are groups of millions of solar systems, and these galaxies are in the endless infinite. And this we know that we live in the Milky Way. And this is one of the galaxies. We have so the central sun is our galaxy, period. And here in this order, we have two stars that vibrate to the we fall to the north of the farther away. To see this as we go lower and lower, the surface of this order after the extension and the fourth order, which is the fourth one. This one is here. You see that it is any separate solar system. It is any solar system.
Angélica.
¿Aló? ¿Qué pasó? What happened? Can you hear me?
No.
¿No? ¿No me escuchaba?
No.
Oh my God. ¿Cuánto tiempo tengo que no me escuchaba?
No, poquito.
Okay.
Como 2 minutos.
Oh, gracias por decir. Si no
Se
hubiera.
ahogó el sonido, se tapó tu micrófono y se oía así como muy ahogado, como lejos. Sí, algo así.
Ay, qué raro. Ok, gracias. Pero ya me escucho bien. Ok, entonces ya me escucho bien. Okay, so this is the fourth order. It is any separate solar system, and like I was saying, unquestionably, any solar system. So no matter what galaxy belongs to, whatever it is made of, matter, or it doesn't matter if it's made out of matter or antimatter, it is a deuterocosmos. So the deuterocosmos is vibrates with a musical note sol. And now we move down to the fifth order, which is the mesocosmos. And this one, it is any planet in the endless space. For example, the planet Earth, in which we live, we can take this as an example. It is, we can compare this to, the grains of sand in the beach, in the sea, better said, I'm sorry. It is the same way there are grains in the sea, so there are a number of planets in the infinite space. And this is what is called a mesocosmos. So this is any planet from any solar system. And with no doubt, it doesn't matter which is the center of gravitation of it, it is a mesocosmos. So, okay, hope we can be being heard. So, like I said, with no doubt, undoubtedly, what? Undoubtedly? Yeah, undoubtedly. Any of the space, no matter what the cosmic center of gravitation, it is a mesocosmos. So we move even farther to the sixth order. This is a microcosmos. And in the microcosmos, this is any human being. It represents because the human body, because we are a miniature microcosmos ourselves. This is they are, well, much has been said about the microcosmos man, but we emphasize that transcendental idea that each of us is an authentic and legitimate microcosmos. But like I said, in miniature. So, however, we are not the only ones in this planet. There are many lives that exist in many planets, and here we have 48 laws, and they are represented by the 48 chromosomes in the cells of the human body, but science can only identify 46, which is the 23 pairs of chromosomes that are of a superior nature. This is why scientists cannot perceive them. We can only recognize 46, but there are 48. So this is the level of density here, and dependency is much greater. And this vibrates with the musical note mi. So we find also here that that inside here there's the astral lunar body, which vibrates with the note re. This is because belongs to the limbo. And then also the physical lunar body, which vibrates with the note do. And this is we see how, well, like I said, we find here the chromosomes, 48 chromosomes, and the musical note B, and this lunar body and physical body. Okay, so we move even farther to the seventh order, which is the Tetracosmos, the infernal worlds. So in the infernal worlds, the Tetracosmos, within every planet has its own infradimension submerged. It's the mineral kingdom inside its own atomic infernos or hell, which is within each planet. It has its own submerged mineral kingdom. So they are inside the interior of any planetary matter. and they are infradimensional by nature, and this is natural. This is a natural order of nature. This is so nature can have a balance. This is a natural process of nature. Okay, so here inside our planet, uh, we can see that we began here by the first circle of infradimensional, which is the moon, which is controlled by 96 laws. We move on to the second circle, or Mercury, which is controlled by 192 laws. Then we move on to the third circle, which is the third infradimensional circle of Venus, and is controlled by 384 laws. Then we move farther to the fourth circle, or circle of the sun, and this one is controlled by 768 laws. Then we see how the laws multiply, and they are denser, heavier, and more mechanical, and farther away from the absolute sun, farther away from the one law, which is the law of God, which is love. Then we move down to the fifth circle, which is infradimensional circle of Mars. And here we have 1,536 laws. Then we move on to the sixth circle, even farther, circle of Jupiter. And this infradimensional circle is controlled by 3,072 laws. Okay, and then we move on to the eighth circle. The eighth circle, and here this one is controlled circle of Uranus. Uranus is the infradimensional infernal kingdom, is controlled by 12,288 laws. Then we move on to the ninth circle. This is the last circle, or circle of Neptune, and this one is infradimensional circle. It is controlled by 24,576 laws. So, inside in these nine circles, we see that are called the abode of the or Pluto, or the being, because inside here there is trapped 97% of essence or consciousness, and this is the essence that is trapped by all of this number of laws that are progressively becoming heavier and heavier, progressively by how they descend in each order. So this is how far we come from the absolute, from our real being, where one law governs, which is the law of love, and we are submerged in more denser and denser laws, more complex, more independent from the one superior law, which is the law and the will of the absolute. So we become more and more mechanical with more and more laws, and this comes to show us the pain, the mechanical ways, and the heaviness in here. So we see how the farthest we are from God, from the one law, the heavier the more painful and heavier this class is. So the work here is to rescue all of our consciousness and all the wisdom from this laws. This is a arduous work, and because of all the laws that are more and more complex, and this requires a great amount of willpower, work, and to work endlessly to reach true freedom, and free ourselves from the 48, 24, 12, 6, and 3 laws to return to our origin, which is the absolute sun, where only one law governs, which is the law of love. And this is found through the 3 factors of the revolution of consciousness, which is spiritual birth, psychological death, to rescue our essence, and sacrifice for humanity. This is in creating the solar bodies and choosing the direct path. So this is the map to go back to this is our map in our way back to the absolute sun. Thank you.
Bravo, bravo.
Gracias.